listening to Proof Text, a Glossa House podcast by Dr. T. Michael W. Halcomb, Dr. Frederick J. Long, Dr. Mario Melendez, Dr. Jennifer Noonan, and J. M. Smith. Welcome and enjoy.
Hello and welcome to Proof Text. I'm Michael Halcomb and I'm here with Dr. Frederick J. Long and Dr. Andrew Coutras. Three Glossa House folks here. We're in San Antonio, Texas for the annual meeting of the Society of Biblical Literature. Andrew, this is your first time on the podcast, right? Yeah. Fred, not your first time on the podcast?
No. And we're also there for IBR and ETS, so Institute for Biblical Research, and presented tonight at Evangelical Theological Society. So 3 or more conferences happening at the same time.
Hopefully, we can get a recording of Andrew's presentation somehow, because somebody recorded it, and if we can, we'll put it on the podcast. Remember to record your presentations if you can.
Yeah.
And then I'm doing a presentation
Monday.
of Philemon in Greek. Yep. So hopefully that'll get recorded too. But for the last few weeks, JM and I haven't been able to make our schedules connect. So I've been doing the 10 questions episode. Well, same this week. He's traveling. He'll be here soon. So the three of us are going to do the 10 questions episode this time.
So that 3.5 questions each?
Yeah, we'll do 3. You can do 4 if you want.
Okay.
So the way it's going to work, I have a random verse generator, and I'm going to click it so we don't know what verse is getting ready to come. It's Isaiah 51:12. So let me pull that up in Step Bible here in just a second. So this is Hebrew. We're all New Testament guys. Should we do a New Testament verse? Let's do a New Testament verse.
Okay.
Let's do a New Testament verse. Matthew 2:1-2.
Ah.
All right, let's roll over there. Matthew 2:1-2. I'm gonna pull that up on here. There we go. And if you're watching, you're gonna see this on the screen. If you're just listening, that's fine too. This is stepbible.org. I use this every day. But here we go. I'm gonna get 3 questions. Andrew's gonna get 3 questions.
And then we'll do paper, rock, scissors for the last.
Okay, we can do paper rock.
Okay.
You know in Hawaii what they call that? John Cannonball.
John Kenneth?
Yeah, in Hawaii, because the Japanese, when you count 1, 2, 3, it's John Cannonball. Anyways.
Okay.
That's how
I trust you on that.
Yeah. Is it? Or maybe it's Chinese, maybe? I don't know, Korean? Something like that. So, well, we're not all fitting in here, but we'll keep the camera on whoever's question is. So, the rule of this is that we can ask a question but not answer it. So we're looking at Matthew.
Can we answer it?
No, nobody's allowed to give an answer.
Oh, yeah.
It just has to be a question.
Okay.
And the idea is to show the viewers of the podcast, listeners of the podcast, what sort of Bible scholars do as a first step of coming to a text, which is observe and then ask questions. Right? So it can deal with the grammar, the syntax, the content, culture, whatever. We'll look at in the English here. We got the Greek up as well, but we'll read verses 1 and 2. It says, after Jesus was born in Bethlehem in Judea, during the time of King Herod, Magi from the east came to Jerusalem and asked, where is the one who's been born King of the Jews? We saw his star when it rose and have come to worship him. All right, so I guess my first question would have to be, what's the significance of Jesus being born in Bethlehem, of all places? So, simple question. What's the significance of Jesus being born in Bethlehem? That's my first question. Second question? Your first question.
Just to point at me a little bit. So, there's a genitive absolute that starts the verse, which is a construction with a genitive case noun and then a genitive case participle. So I'm wondering, what is achieved by using that as the subordinate clause type as opposed to a conjunction subordinate clause? So I use this genitive absolute participle subordinate clause as opposed to some other kind of subordinate clause that would convey time, after or when.
You would ask that. All right. So Andrew, what are you thinking? Any questions, observations, questions surface for you here in verse 1 or 2?
Yeah, I'm wondering why Chimeras rather than just saying during the reign.
So why put that prepositional phrase in the days?
Well, why in the days of, not
During the reign. Yeah.
Or
yeah, that is interesting because he is called.
you're not supposed to answer.
No. I'm just saying he is called king. Yeah. So that's really good. Good question. So my second question is about Magi, or as the Erasmian folks would say, Magoi, which sounds so harmful to my ears. Magi. Why do people often translate this as wise men, or sometimes even kings, when it's clearly Magi? Why not just transliterate it into Magi? Now, the NIV does that here, but we know of other translations that don't. And so, just curious about why is there this tradition of wise men and kings and whatever instead of just using Magi? And what is a mad? What is
okay? I was going to say what is a Magi, but I'm glad you raised that. So, so turn it towards me. So, why does the NIV not translate the idu? There's an idu here, which usually means like look or behold, and it usually is an attention-getting device. So why is it not given attention in the translation? How does it function? Why is that not translated right before Magi?
Yeah, great question. All right, Andrew, anything else you're seeing here in verse 1 or 2?
I'm guessing there's the idiom up to Jerusalem.
Oh, so he's using east instead of, what would be up?
Anna.
Yeah. So you're asking why is he using east instead of Anna?
I thought the idiom would normally go up to Jerusalem.
Yeah, and actually here going into penetrating Jerusalem.
All right. Let's see. It is well, I was going to say something, then I was going to ask a question. So in verse 1, Herod is described as tu Vasileos, and then it's interesting to me that o Vasilevs is used of Jesus, of Jesus. So is there a sort of literary, rhetorical, social, cultural function, theological function going on in terms of trying to contrast or compare Herod and Jesus with one another? With the term Vasilevs.
Vasilev. Yeah. So my question would be from verse 2, they were saying, where is the one born king of the Jews? How did they know that a king of the Jews was born?
Yeah. All right. Andrew, seen anything here?
Why were they coming to worship? Do you normally worship him?
Okay, so why were they coming to worship him? That's what the text says. And the second part of that was
it normally worship kings?
Yeah, do you normally worship kings? Was it normal to worship kings at this time? Yeah, or was it normal for Magi to worship kings? Is that something Magi were like known for? No, I'm just asking. I'm just asking another question because you made me think of it. All right, so we've each asked 3 questions. which leaves one question open.
Yeah, my last one's kind of lame though because it explains. I take it back because it says we saw his star, so the his is fronted. How could they know from seeing the star that it was a king of the Jews born?
And it's just a mixing of different cultural approaches to stars, to attaching people to stars, or like rulers of stars. Did that go for multiple?
Yeah, so I think, I'm repeating you because you're a little farther back. It might be harder for them to hear, but he's asking if you didn't hear, is there something culturally connecting people to stars here? Yeah. So that was you got the fourth question. We didn't even play Young Can or Rock, Paper, Scissors.
No, I rephrased mine to incorporate part of their explanation of where is the king. So I was asking how did they know that there was a king? And their explanation was we saw a star. So my question just needs to clarify a little bit more. Okay.
Do you want to play Rock, Paper, Scissors?
Yeah, Rock, Paper, Scissors. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3.
Oh, I thought.
Wait.
Then you do 1, 2, 3, and then go.
Okay, ready?
Okay. 1, 2, 3, go. You got me. You get fourth question.
Oh, cool. How about I answer?
Oh, you guys go.
Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. You got me.
All right, so
Andrew gets the last question.
Andrew gets the last question. You could have said I opt out.
I'm missing it. Where does it say it wrote?
In the east.
Yeah, in the east.
Well, it's like the star in the east.
Yeah.
I'm seeing.
We saw his star in the east,
so
but they came from the east.
Where does it say when it rose?
It doesn't say that.
Why does it do that?
So is the in the east modifying we saw in the east, or did we see his star, the star that was in the east?
That's interesting.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Well, I think they're both good questions. So Andrew's asking,
why do they need to say that it rose?
Yeah, why did the NIV translate it when it rose, when the word it rose isn't even there? And then Fred's asking, was the star seen in the east, or did the Magi, when they were in the east, see the star?
Yeah, because the Greek has in the east. And then is the in the east modifying star, or is it modifying star?
Yeah, okay.
All right.
Well, I will, since you both got a second fourth question, I'm going to ask one anyway. So,
okay.
I mean, there's a repetition of Anatole in verse 1 and 2. So I'm just curious about that repetition is emphasizing something for sure.
They're from this, and now they're in this.
Yes.
Seemed to. Yeah, we're not looking at it.
But it's also, I mean, Jerusalem isn't mentioned twice, but I just think is there an emphatic element going on? Like, not emphatic, but is something being emphasized through the repetition of the use of that word?
A prominence would seem to attend the word east, and why? Why is that?
Yeah.
And the king, by being repeated, why is that?
You are so good at summarizing.
Well, I'm presenting a paper on that Friday on prominence, and then it's just.
All right. Well, let me stop there. Thanks for watching this episode of Proof Text, Andrew, Fred. Thanks for jumping on. And yeah, we hope you enjoyed this one. Hopefully JM will be back soon. But until next time, I hope that helps.
Interested in growing your ancient language skills but not sure where to start? Glossa House can help. From illustrated readers and short stories to lexicons and grammars, Glossa House offers a variety of resources for beginning, intermediate, and experienced ancient language learners. Head to glossahouse.com today. Glossa House, language resources for the global community.